This is my last video before N5 drops, so let's just talk about everything, and I mean gosh darn everything we know. Hi guys, it's Ryan, and this week we're going to look at every vanilla army list for the factions present in the lore book, which is all of them except Hak, Aleph and Toha, and because this video was long enough I'm skipping O12. Sorry, it's a really long script and I'm just going to put the image here. Look, the speeder is a firebat, or the firebat is the speeder. It's great. And we're going to recap the N5 stuff from Tuesday from the theme week, and those two sections, two very large sections, will cover just about everything we know. So please remember to like and subscribe for more. It would really help me out, as this one was a big one to get done in the time I have. Vanilla Pano is the biggest loser of the mercs getting merked I've seen. I've seen more people annoyed about this than I have seen about NCA and Shock Army getting OP'd. Losing something like 30 profiles was a big hit to how vanilla Pano was played, but we did keep some good stuff, and if they get decent fire teams, I bet vanilla Pano will be back in the game. As you can see, the majority of Pano is KCF based, with a sprinkle of NCA probably only by way of reinforcements, the remnants of Verd and Svalharema, with military armor only featuring 3 units, basically cementing its place as an auxiliary Pano-Shananian army. I'll talk about KCF in a minute and what each unit is there, but first, what about the rest of Pano? Fusiliers stay, of course, with Phoenix as well. Blockers, Blades and Bolts return from reinforcement, which is perfect and exactly what I want from my vanilla, as these units that I previously called undeniably Pano. Joining them from Svalharema is the Nokken Nisei Karhu, the Nokken a good pseudo-skirmisher, the Nisei a vanilla staple since first edition, and of course the Karhu, who took N4 by storm. Nice to see all 3, but the Nisei could be overshadowed here unless the fire teams or profiles for the Nisei get wild. Over in heavy infantry, we get 7 heavy infantry, 3 are from KCF, and the other 4 are the Orc Troopers. Glad to see the return of these guys, but like regular Fusiliers, Orcs and Griffins are very similar, so we'll need to see profiles to really figure out what this means. Teutonic Knights come back. It seems to act as cheap warbands / gun rolls, or even a cheap lieutenant. Both guards returned, but not the third, as Shock Army is gone. Again, this is probably mostly because of reinforcements, but giving Pano MSV3 and a hidden deployment missile launcher seems like a strong way to assert the shooting faction as the shooting faction. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Unfortunately, with the move to N5, we have lost our tags, going from 10 to 4 in a massive decrease, only keeping the Cutter, Squallow Mark II, Tikbalang and Max, which leaves the 3 OOP tags, the Drago, the Ulan and the Mark I Squallow gone, the Trip demerked, and the Surf and Yotum left in their sectorials. It's a bit of a shame to lose these variety of the options, and hopefully we can look to get some of these back in other ways. We do keep 2 skirmishers in the Crocman and the Locust, which really helps out the midfield, and those are joined by, oddly, Helots from Verd. Alongside Joan, that combo still exists. Helots keep a key strength of vanilla Pano, and hopefully their AVA goes up to match the buck, especially with the demise of Verd. Character-wise, we get 5, which is a nice amount. Joan returns, the true Pano LT, Patsy the Specialist Orcs, Bipandra, who is a classic, the new Peter Harper, and Mac mentioned earlier. A nice wee selection here. Joan and Max add some bulk, Patsy and Bipandra some more specialists, and with Priya, who knows. Now on to Kestrel. We've seen a lot of the lore for this stuff and art as well, so in this section I'm going to talk about that and imagine how great it will be when we get more profiles. The light infantry of the Sectorial are already pretty cool. Fennec Fusiliers are Fusiliers, but they seem attuned to Shinju. The fluff and now profile show that they has a huge array of options with HMGs, missile launchers, SMGs plus light rocket launchers for 12 points, thunderbolts plus 1 burst mine layer triangulated fire, hackers, SMG, emitter, fast panders, and a forward observer with a disco baller. Hello regulars, welcome back. When I first saw drummers, someone said it could be a mobility support regiment continuing the Commonwealth tradition of drummers and musicians acting as support troops when deployed. Well, that was very wrong, as you can see by the art. That is an Oxbot with a huge cannon. I'm trying to avoid saying peak panel, but this alone is peak panel. Big gun drones, and oh my god, everyone loves it. Please let this come out as soon as possible. The magistrates of the BC8 sound cool. They're cowboy law bringers with 2 guns and how you'll be brought in, dead or alive. This would be cool if we didn't just get a cannon bot, but like this is still cool, but cannon bot is better. Finally is the Blink, who is basically signposted and rumoured to be our min-6 hidden deployment heavy rocket launcher / multi-sniper rifle, ARO piece a la the Noctifer and the Ryukin, which post Fireteam James seems to be the main way factions are gearing their defences. Additionally, this pose is just cool. I really want the Peon box for this, and one other unit we'll see in a minute. Medium infantry now, we've seen both the Banshee and the Blair before, but we now have real profiles mostly. The Banshee is all close range with hacker options as specialist, and I am really going to like that killer hacking device SMG profile. Sure, SMG's got defanged, but it's going to do a lot of work for me in the midfield. The Blair, however, might be the standout for the Pano box. It has an FTO hacker profile, which is going to be very lovely in the midfield to do many objectives. But I think a more useful non-ARO profile is going to be that Forward Observer K1 Marksman Rifle, which is going to be lovely as an anti-armor and can even fight min-6 tags with ease. But finally, that is the one we've seen with the Neurosynetics, MSV2, min-3 and multi-sniper rifle, which in an impure core will basically mean this unit will be burst 2 in ARO, rolling a third dice, keeping 2 of your choice, dodging a little better, discovering on 16s, have a +1 to hit, and will be immune to surprise attack and smoke shooting, all sans 6 sends, which is a shame, and honestly I think it'll be fine. Wow. Finally, though, is the absolutely wild Parachutist DZ killer hacking device SMG Flash Pulse +1 burst profile, which, oh yeah, okay, isn't the best gun-wise, but the fact you have hidden deployment and airborne deployment in the faction means you can really bluff this out, and in theory, you could do a lot of damage, which is damn nice when your opponent has to guess which threat you have. Oh my god, is this what options are like? Man, I am absolutely gimped by MO. The last of this 3 is the Firefly, which has not 1, not 2, but 3 separate pieces of art, so this means we have a bit of a mascot for the faction, I think, that CB really likes, which means this is either going to be a belter of a unit, or just okay. Clandestine Demo Squad is a hell of an evocative name, and the art is festooned with grenades. This sounds fun. Hopefully it's a fun unit, because Corvus Bailey likes it, and the fact it's got as much AVA as our Phoenix, it must be something. Also, the model is neat. Our heavy infantry are looking good as well, and boy am I happy to see a cross. Such a weird sentence, but we get knights out of time. It was 16 hours for them, but it was several years for us, etc. The Father Knights are back, and they are veterans of the QAZ, and are terrifying to behold. I have no idea what they'll do, but they look melee focused. I'm hoping for high-tech knights or assault knights, but right now the heavy infantry for KCF are looking pretty elite, and with AVA 1 and options for FTO and non-FTO, I think this is going to be great. My money is on a Knighta di Assalto. We now have the profile and dossier for Griffins, and it's interesting. It's an orc, a better orc. Its profiles are basically an orc with MSC1 and pulsars. The concept has a gizmo kit and the art has an SMG, so I'm hoping that it does have one and it's just not here as this is usually vanilla orientated. Right now it's all guns, but a specialist would be nice. However, if you're back with MSV1 and pure coring with Phoenix is going to be the top end of fire teams in N5. Next is the Hectari shooters, and immediately upon the first Google search, seeing that they were a unit with Indian roots, I was so happy to see them back in Pano. Then Corvus Belli drops the lore and it's fire. The Indian diaspora that got good at defending themselves, get these men and women some guns and make them the pride of Pano. I'm hoping for good shooters here. BS 14 min with visors and mods. Griffins have some, so let's not let them get outdone. But from the dossier we can see that 1, it's a banger of a trooper. 2, it has a missile launcher. 3, it's got a multi-red Fury. And no, that is not a mistake. That is what it said on 2 slides, and the model, and it's fantastically Pano. The inventors of multi getting more multi-weapons. Corvus Belli is on the ball with ideas. Next we move to the Red Eye, another Indian influence unit. Sort of. The little unique quote is Indian, but this is our drone. Not a bike like everyone else gets, but a full-on combat flyer. The Red Eye is the A99 combat drone and sports heavy armor and big guns. If you're a fan of military aviation, which, given I can see what videos you guys watch, probably are, you scream it's an A10, and Pano is truly the faction that deserves something that references that iconic flying gun. Skirmisher wise, we have between 1 or 2, the Scarecrow and potentially the Jackal. Scarecrows we can see now are basically Pano hidden deployment camo skirmishers. Great, but these guys seem to be pretty scary in the fluff. Damn good at their job, agents of Pano, who when captured their entire cube and brain is intentionally wiped. Is this a reactivated unit to act and be basically a disposable asset a la Norcase or the other cube clones, or is this new cube tech that only Aleph has had until now? Either way, an empty head is a pinnacle of Whip 12. We have seen the full dossier, no marksman rifle on the profile, but again, vanilla dossier shenanigans. Without it, it's a little rough, but with it, it would be a great improvement, because right now it's great, just missing a wee cherry. Finally, we'll look at the Mines Corp Jackal and remind us that Pano is not in fact the good guys. A tech are a Pano concept of anyone who's not online. Pano as a faction is terminally online. You need it to basically do anything, and attacks are those that are unwilling or won't integrate with Aleph or comlinks to live in Pano society. They are heavily discriminated against as a result, both just societally and generally, and the lore sums this up perfectly. They are only getting off Shinju in a coffin, so they're really rough about it, and they make Pano's enemies pay. These are right next to Yamabushi, surprised warband, but read mighty close to warband for me. I hope this will be Pano diggers and not Pano beast hunters, but either way, I'd be happy. I'm not going to lie, I know nothing about vanilla Yu-Jing. All I know is they have mid tags and okay heavy infantry. They can't melee, so what's the point? Anyway, here is the vanilla. It looks like a solid mix of IA and ISS. Little bits of white banner, but definitely the first two. Some fan favourites return like the Hak Tao, Shang Jesus, Jump Troops, the Gulang, both tags, ninjas and the Guangxis, which are all great. I think most of the Yu-Jing characters are here, which is nice if you have a favourite. Additionally, a running theme will be that reinforcements are in vanilla in their entirety. Now that's the old stuff. Yu-Jing have had their faction video as of the 13th of October and have confirmed all 3 sectorials are staying, which is great, and that the long in the tooth ISS will be getting a bit of a rework with 4 new units and a 5th I'll mention later. Long Wang, or the Long Wang of the Law, are basically a unit that boils down to JSA are pricks, and we need to have our police in tags in case uprising happens again. If O12 can basically use a Bradley for riot control, why can't we? But really it's nice for ISS to have, as I think they lack this kind of durable firepower, and the fluff does lean into it being a disciplined piece for ISS. I'm not expecting a Pano level tag, but I am expecting something that ISS can make good use of. Moving from copying Pano to hunting Pano, the Ying-Shi, or the Silver Snakes, are the elite Yu-Jing tag hunters that have become the bane of Pano's Jotum regiments on Svalharema. Making use of state-of-the-art environmental gear, anti-armor and EM munitions to take out the hardest armor. I'm expecting this to be an anti-armor weapon wielding either camel piece, although that is a bit of a Hundund role, but maybe it's a bit more heavy infantry and it's going to have blitzens and maybe even new EM weapons, and probably missile launchers to take on Pano tags. Gundam troops are unfortunately not a tag regiment, but tunnel fighting skirmishers that seem to be able to get into places and dig out enemies. Apparently veterans of and working closely with Zhanshis to win the underground fights of Svalharema. This unit is described as a bit of a backbone and sounds like it could be a solid forward deploying skirmisher or light infantry that could be light and damaging. Fen Quan are the first manned flying vehicle, and it is the Yu-Jing Eye in the Sky / NSA, and are used to nimbly move around the labyrinthine cities that make up Yu-Jing planets, and it is ISS mobile support that helps ground troops in the age of domestic unrest following the events of uprising. I can imagine that this might be similar to a Shu-Chan to move fast and hit hard and harry the enemy in a way we haven't seen in Infinity yet. Vanilla Ariadna has never really excited me, and this isn't doing it for me either. It looks good, but like Pano is mostly Kestrel, this is largely tack. It does get some iconic Ariadnan units too, like Rockots, Paracommandos, Chasseurs, SAS, Foxtrots, Bearpods, Desperados, and characters from elsewhere, but it is by and large tack. There are some new units and a confirmed tack rework. Not sure who is asking for it, but apparently we are. USARF, I hope, gets something, because Lord knows they barely escaped going out of production. Anyway, griping aside, we do have some oddities in that both the Galwegians and Varangians are staying, despite, Caledonia now being dead, and Catarans are chilling with the Mercs, despite them being Caledonian and Cosmoflot natives. Maybe USARF will see some Galwegians, as Corvus Belli tends not to do vanilla-only units, but who knows, new rules, new additions. Also, yes, the French lads are here with all the reinforcements if you want to play them. Conductors are such an odd one. I mean, the fluff is suitably Ariadnan down to the native ears around their neck. They are railway guards, which is kind of quaint, but it's not until you remember that's how tax grip on power, and if it goes, they can't control Ariadna like they do. I say tack, it's really Rodinia, but they are one in the same. It seems like it will be a pretty tough line infantry. I'm thinking like a Frontovlik, but I'm hoping not, since they are already there, but I'm noticing now that Frontovlik are in the medium infantry section, so maybe they are elite light infantry and Frontovlik's move to more broad and useful medium infantry, which could be neat. Anyway, tough as nail conductors, so tickets please. Barsuks is an odd one. I have no idea what they're really going from here. Some people are saying Kazakh volunteers, but I guess, but also is that really needed? I don't know much about Takken right now. I really don't care for them that much, but I guess they're getting attention now, and hopefully this will cure what ails them. The Kibbervolk patrol are fucking horrific, pardon my Russian, but wow, we all thought the Bearpods were bad, being Blackhand Werebears, and yes, for the final time this edition, Bearpods are not pods, they're angry hybrids. Apparently Ariadna has a problem with Shavasti, so they've decided they should make good use of the antipodes and give them some old upgrades to find and take out the alien menace. Looks like this will similar to the antipode control packs, but chromed out so that dozers will be in fact charge of them. For years we made jokes about packs on mules, and we finally got one. The Vistriel Mobile Artillery Regiment. It is what appears to be a portable autocannon on a tractor mule. What else can I say? It also maybe has sapper or axes like mobile artillery, kind of showing that Corvus Belli is at least paying attention to modern warfare. Maybe this will replace the Kyura, which never saw use and was only in tack. I can't believe Corvus Belli made this concept, but I'm very happy they did. Vanilla Nomads are weirdly very appealing to me. According to those more competitively orientated than I, this has basically done nothing to the Vanilla Nomad list, but I kinda dig it. Very little BGC except the cool ones like Mods, Senators, Zeros and Taskmasters. We do of course get the bullshit that is the UFK, but besides that, it also has the cool parts of Tunguska and Kregador, i.e. Hellcats, Intruders, the cool heavy infantry and the Salamandra. This is really good and looks fun. Now let's talk about those new troops. The Switcher Grupa seems to be Tunguska's answer to the question, we have lots of money, but not nearly as much money as the mob, so let's commit war crimes. And yes, that is a question. Switchers seem to have a close combat unit that transforms, leaves a buddy trail, and then transforms back in the moment. Neat. Crunch-wise, these guys will probably fight decently well, with the goal to get to melee to transmute auto and just absolutely shred things. Profile-wise, I'm probably thinking this is like a cheer killer that will mutate into like something like a Zellenkrieger or something. It will be one to watch. Tunguska Triggermen, to quote someone, is that a stand user? JoJo reference aside, this lore entry is basically corporations are in crime. What's the difference? And to be honest, I like it. It's great. The art alone makes it look like this will be some sort of specialist with a bot guarding him, and now that Carlos has basically said this is in fact a guard unit, this could be really fun, and more Tunguska units are always great. Go Pods is the first flyer we saw, or rather its silhouette, and look, it's fantastic with a focus on speed over Yu-Jing's manoeuvrability and O12's reliability. Also, this will be probably in all 3 sectorials. We know from the now released concept it will have a heavy rocket launcher, a combi, and an SMG with a flash pulse, so it's probably a forward observer. It looks really cool, and I think this could be stunning on table once we see the model. Vanilla Combined Army I touched on last video briefly. It's heavily trimmed down, and as with Nomads, it doesn't really affect the competitive list and keeps the vanilla focus to a nice mix of the 3 sectorials, with largely Morats gone, Shavasti leading, and the usual gaggle of fools including the extra. It has 4 tags, very much like Vanilla Pano, so CA retains in all things. It does what everyone else does, but equally or better. But if you're a vanilla fan, your Sometimes Food is now gone, but you're playing largely the same list. Let's talk about maybe the first unpopular decision Corvus Belli has made for N5, but I think the one that might work out well in the long term. Achilles has willingly, without a cube, joined the Combined Army along Drakios, who is his BFF that isn't sleeping with him, Pandora, who is a traitor, or was, Chusser, who wasn't vibing with the left, and finally the entire reason Achilles turned, Procrolus is back. This is Combined Army's grassroots, or rather astroturfing effort to try and win the human sphere on side, because it probably doesn't want another war so that it can go back to fighting the Toha in full force, and good on them. Onyx is supposedly up for a rework at some point soon, and when that will happen we will see the team turncoat in pewter. I'm pre-apologising for my pronunciations of JSA names, but fortunately I might be able to get away without saying, as in short, JSA as a vanilla is basically JSA the sectorial, now Great Oban, mixed in with Shinden Butai. We got Keiotsu's Kempete Ryukin, Aragato, Dormammu, Tanku, Karakuri, Shikami, Daioke, both tags ninjas, Oniwa bands, Tokisetsu Butai, Neko Oda, Ludan, Rushi, Yaozu, Pangolins, Shiato, Mushashi, and the Reinforcement Squad. That was a lot of butchering Japanese, I do apologise. As you can see from the image, it is basically 1-to-1 Shinden Butai to Great Oban, and to be honest, fireteam depending, I would maybe play this one. This looks great. Lots of options for your melee monsters, but there is some limits. Sorry, I know I sat down and blitzed through that one, but my GSA knowledge is limited, so I'm not really sure what to say there. Shinden Butai, however, has not been wowing me, which is a shame. We've seen some profiles, and I mean the Hanamoto slaps, and I have positive thoughts on other bits, so let's run through it and talk about what I like and what I butchered the pronunciation of. Senku troopers are basic line infantry troopers, almost disappointingly so, and for the vanilla profiles we can see here, we are basically getting Keiotsus, but BS11, PTS3 over Arm 1, and no access to hackers, and swapping the missile launcher to a shock marksman rifle, which with the not great fireteam purity, this will seriously be order batteries unless Shinden Butai gets some nice sectorial specific profiles. Metsuki officers get AVA-1 and are diplomatic spies and soldiers, the federal investigators of the Shinju colonization effort. Given they are described as intelligence officers and do not show up in the fireteam chart, I think we can safely assume they are going to be Camel LTs / chain of command, so you can safely run the bigger models with reckless abandon. Raiden Seibutai are back, and I've seen their profiles. A hidden deployment, X-Visor, no camo, only min -3 for 33 points, missile launcher, main layer, surprise attack, aero piece. I think this will be the addition of that, given that blinks exist. Really nice, really solid, fairly expensive SWC wise and vanilla. Tenshin Guntai are JSA's new drop troopers, and what we've seen so far is pretty fair. The dossier is a bit wrong, and it does look like they're wearing a veil, power dropping to their wedding, congrats, but no, it's an orbital face shield. No, looks banging, no profile yet, but close range stuff. However, I think my Irish paras call to me more. Look, Carlos, whatever one is listening, we get it. You like references. I like the references. I like Resident Evil. You clearly like it too. This unit very much is at the core of Shinden Butai, apparently from the fluff. I better get my boulder punching, or else I'm going to be mad. Sounds like the Tanuki team did some clearing up of some awful experience gone awry. Love it. Jizumurai Hanryodan, or the half regiment of poor samurai, are poor samurai who've come to Shinju to learn some cash, dosh, and prestige, and honestly I'm mixed on it. I like it, they're samurai without servos, only 1 wound, min -3, short range guns, medium infantry, basically unhackable. Even if they get guided, it's a 13 to dodge it, immune to surprise attack, climbing plus, sure, not great guns, but great weapons. It's just a solid profile. It's not got the second wound everyone wants, but I really like it, and it pure cores with Hanamoto's, and probably has enough of a base that the other 2 heavy infantry can join in and do some damage regardless of purity. Could use some paramedics, but I'll live with it. Shizoku Kogeki Tai are the JSA's elite, but not elite, or maybe as elite as the Hanamoto, not really too sure. They look like proper heavy infantry. Calling it now, they're basically going to be the Hospitaller with AP HMGs, which we've seen, and heavy rocket launchers for ARO. No purity, but I don't know if they need it with that much armor slabbed onto them. The lore makes them sound like very badasses who nearly carried parts of Uprising off-screen. Overall, honestly, a standout of the Beyond box for JSA. Hatamoto are the next ones we've seen, and the hidden bits from the Warcore profiles were Combat Instinct, a Plasma Carbine profile, Spitfire profile, and the NCO and Lieutenant profiles for their options. I've said it once, I'll say again, it's stacked, and they pure core with Jizumarai, and with an ARO breaker, these guys will do a lot of damage. Karakuris, Mechanoids, Ninjas, Rushi, Ludans, Yaozo, Oda, Yojimbo, and Warcores are all here, so we'll all skip them. Nokizaru units are the anti-ninja ninjas, and that's confirmed with the fluff and the profile was seen. In addition to the one from the starting box, we've seen that it has the multi-marksman rifle as expected, and a forward-observing SMG profile. But honestly, I think the preview list had it right with the killer hacking device. It's probably the best one for a Pano-style ninja. Kurayami ninja clans are semi-treacherous ninja clans that the Keurig have no idea what's really going on with, and neither do we. iBots are JSA's own drone bots. Yay, you're a big boy faction now. Fun fact, they're named after Astro Boy characters, which is perfect for the anime faction. Finally, the Yamabushi is a great warband and the second warband to join Pano, but look like they belong elsewhere. It's really great. It's a warband beast hunter with camo 1 use or fireteam options, chain rifles, DA plus shock CCWs, Panzerfaust, random medikits, great little profile, and I finally have another goose from my Octavia. So, tag pilots. We've seen that in all factions that aren't Rempress tag factions, they now have tag pilots listed as separate units maybe available to take. We're not sure what to make of them, but it could be that all non-operator pilots are now homogenized, much like Pano has all crab bots. That is a bit boring, but it means that they could actually give us some models for them. Maybe this will offer some customizability similar to Rendriver. Either way, it'll be interesting to see. Now for the theme week. Tuesday's video came a bit early on Monday by accident, and oh boy, it was a biggie. This video basically confirmed to us what N5 would contain. Not everything, but some biggies. Army and the rules are all digital and will drop on November the 18th. Goody for me, I have a video due that day, so I'll need to make something work. Anyway, the next bit of news was a stinker. We know what's dead and what's not. And please take your hat in your hand as Verd, NCA, Shock Army, Caledonia, Murph, Spyro, Forco and Starcall are all gone. They will not be an army at launch. I don't know what the state of them will be going forward. Most of them were either marked as OOP, but for the last two and Verd, this is a shock and can't be easy for players. Many people have 2 or more armies going out of production and they're feeling rough. Although there are 2 surprises. Toha's corpse is still being swung around and it's in N5. At this point, Corvus Belli, you need to either drop the army or release the models. It's ridiculous at this point. I think the bigger one though is that QK, despite all odds being out of production for an entire edition, a reinforcement release being half nomads is living into N5, letting Hack join the big boy club of 3 sectorials. Bostroy is saying it has had a resurgence, so good on them. I cannot wait to see new models. Worth noting now and in general throughout the theme week, Carlos stresses vanilla fireteams are going to be fairly strict compared to sectorials, and even while complimenting KCF's fireteams that are not the most flexible, that vanilla is somehow stricter, so that will be interesting. The video goes on to recap some of the stuff that we've already seen before for N5 and also actual rules. So the changes 2 guided missile strikes are now that reset will now let you contest the shot and clear the state in a oneer, which sucks for some heavy infantry, but in general, I think you're probably going to have a better time rolling whip -3 rather than dodge -3. The martial arts table is basically the same at level 1 and 2, but 3 gets a new +1 burst, but you pick one to remove, essentially advantage from Dungeons and Dragons or the roll and keep system from Legend of the Five Rings if you're aware of tabletop RPGs. Level 4 you get the true extra burst, and level 5 you get 2 extra burst, but only 1 is removed. This massively increases consistencies and in some way is a little damage bump, but not as much as the obvious unconditional burst bonus. I like this. I think it will be fun, but I do want to see how my knights will benefit from it if they do. Worth noting, you pick the one you want to remove, so you can pick whatever you want. The best, the worst, the one in melee that you won't get a crit from. Speedballs allow you to spend a command token and drop 2 pods for gear. One will be picked from a table and the other will be rolled. It won't be weaponry, which is good. That could be a little wild and break stuff. It could be stuff like medikits and gizmo kits. Bustroya mentions equipment, so I'm honestly expecting visors, tin bots and hacking devices. Combat Instinct is the surprise attacks ignorance moved out from Sixth Sense, which is great, and I think it will be a nice little buff to all camo units out there. I think this will really defang cores further, and you'll need to be much smarter on how you deal with impersonation and camo pieces. Some things I think, like more visor troopers, will handle this by ignoring the other mods, but just bringing 4 chumps doesn't negate a surprise -6 anymore. Super jump jet propulsion was described. I'm not sure what it does. I'm hearing everything from it allows you to move in flight and not just do parabolics to you can jump up, move, and then come back to where you were. Bustroy mentions it will be on drones and hover bike, so maybe the former. Anyway, I look forward to arguing about this one. The last important thing they show off is the fire team levels. This increases with how pure a fire team is, from 5 different nerds to 5 of the same nerds. Level 1 lets you activate all at once. 2 pure troopers is a +1 burst but 1 removed. Level 3 is a +3 to discover and a +1 to dodge, which is not great but not bad. Level 4 is a +1 to your ballistic skill, and level 5 is 6 sense, generally a bit weaker and harder to get. I preface this with I love fire teams. I'm not sure how I'll manage with weaker fire teams on defense, but I really like the design of this. Shame it's only +1 total BS and it's not true burst. Basically, Ariadna and Hack will basically need to look at what they're doing now. I like the placement of bonuses, maybe not the 6th sense and maybe not the fizz bonus. I like it, it's just odd. Anyway, I'm genuinely really like this overall. It'll take some things to get used to, and it does what Corvus Belly wants, defangs cores and buffs duos and harrisses. I'm already planning fire teams out for military orders. 3 Teutonics is going to be a great lark dodging on 18s. Bishi eats your heart out. Finally, for this video, they show off the Shinden Butai and the KCF fire teams, and without everything, we can't do much more than go, oh, neat. JSA is looking like it has some pretty decent purity across the faction at the cost of wildcards, whereas KCF does have a lot less purity but gets greater wildcards. That is not to say pure cores we have are bad, but the Griffin Fuhrback and 4 Fusiliers is valid and is going to be great. And that was damn near everything we know about N5 except for the O12 Firebat unit and anything that came out of the N5 battle report of Carlos versus Krellian. I've hit my limit for what I can write in the time I have given. I had to wait a full additional week for the theme week, but oh boy, I'm glad I did. KFC is looking absolutely fantastic from every model we've seen, and largely I think everything looks really great. But I'd like to know what you're thinking in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe, and finally, as always, thank you so much for watching.